Hello, welcome to the Mom series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity, where I was going to do a video about multiplicity, about a video response, but I decided to start cooking. So I thought, well, I'll just share the recipe with you because I know some of you are really big Alton Brown fans. I know all of you science heads out there love Alton Brown, and so do I. So I'm making a recipe, a one-pot wonder, the best thing I ever made by Alton Brown today. And it's a really cool recipe. I like the way he breaks it down and explains food to people. So what I'm cooking right now, I'll get the steam down because my stove is running away on the electric stove. It's like getting really hot all of a sudden. It's not supposed to do this. It's supposed to be on low. So I want to let it cool down before I show it to you. It's called the One Pot Wonder, and you really do use just all made in one pan. And it's a really, really good, healthy vegetable winter soup. But I make it in the summer when it's like 80-something degrees out because, I don't know, that's what I do. So it's like 80-something and like almost 90 in here. And do I have the air conditioning on? No. I'm being a trooper and make my one pot wonder. So it's 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and that's what I'm doing. So this recipe is really cool. Like I said, you take 8 ounces of cremini mushrooms, or an assortment of cremini brown mushrooms, and as Alton Brown says, you cook the jiggers out of them on a high heat until they're dark. So these are mine. They're dark. Really dark. I don't know if you can see that really, but they're nice and dark. And they cook. I used a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to cook them, and I just kept stirring them around because I'm using a Paladine misty lavender speckled pan, and you can't really go high on electric heat with this Dutch pan. So medium on my electric stove is really high. In fact, medium-low can get very high. It's kind of doing the same thing the other stove did, where there's no real temperature control. It's like, put it over there, goes up, put it over there, it goes high. So that's kind of how that is. But the temperature is really important with this recipe. You're going to cook your mushrooms high and then set them aside. Then you're going to take your mirepoix of carrots, onions, and celery. Alton Brown uses 1 medium onion, 2 celery stalks, and 2 carrots, chop it up, and then cook that low and slow for about 30, I did 45 minutes. Just keep going around with your spoon or your fork or whatever, and just keep an eye on them so that they really cooked out and they don't burn, so your onions don't burn or whatever. Then you're going to take I believe it was a 28 or 32 ounce can of whole tomatoes. If you had tomatoes, you could just use those, but I had whole tomatoes. And they are in season, whole tomatoes right now. I mean, like the fresh ones, but I couldn't really afford them. So I went with the canned. And he used canned also in the recipe, which is fine. You just add some herbs to it. He added thyme, I believe, rosemary, and sage and garlic. I used thyme, rosemary, sage, and garlic, and nutmeg. He did 4 cloves of garlic, I did 2 cloves of garlic. He did 1 teaspoon of rosemary, I did 1 teaspoon of rosemary. He did, I think, 2 teaspoons of sage. And so, you just have to adjust the flavor to what you like. I like a little bit of nutmeg in mine. And then you just mush up your tomatoes, run that around for about 5 minutes on medium heat, whatever medium is on your stove. And get your tomatoes all cooked down with your herbs. So I had my garlic, my sage, my thyme, my rosemary, and a touch of nutmeg in there. What you can do if you don't have all those fresh or dry herbs or spices is you can use a little dab of poultry seasoning, which has some thyme and rosemary and sage already in it. But just a little bit, because the dry herbs are much stronger than the fresh. So I did that. Then his secret weapon for the recipe is to add then to the tomatoes that are cooked with your herbs, with your mirepoix. Then, still keeping your mushrooms on the side, you're going to add 2.5 quarts of water and turn the temperature up to high. And you're going to drop in there a 2-inch piece, the heel of a 2-inch, like 2 by 2 inch heel of Parmesan cheese. So I had Virginio Parmesan that I was coming to the end of, and I just kept shaving it until I got to the very end. You don't want to put too much cheese on there. You want to just put the heel in there, because if there's too much cheese on it, it's just going to taste cheesy. You don't want it to be cheesy soup. You want it to taste like a meaty, flavorful soup without using any broth, without using any stuff. So then what you do is you add your water and you cook your tomatoes, and then here's my piece of cheese. I'll show you what it looks like. That's my almost cooked. I'm leaving it in there. That's my heel portion, and on the other side is it's a spongy look, and that's giving it all the flavor it needs. And then he adds about a pound, about 8 ounces of butternut squash. Sometimes I do. It's not in season right now, so I'm using sweet potatoes. You just add your cut up sweet potatoes or cut up butternut squash, and then you add about 7 ounces of kale. And of course you wash it really good and get all the gristle off of it, wash it real nice, and keep it in a drainer, and take all the stems out of it, put it to manageable pieces, and then you drop it in there. And when your kale is pork tender and your butternut squash is pork tender, or for me, my potato, which I'm going to taste right now, then you're going to add some more goodies in it. It's fun. It's really fun. Okay. You might not want to cook this when it's like 80 degrees out. But keep a lot of water by you to drink. Right. So you're going to add about 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now you guys know I don't like MSG, and I don't like sodium. Well, not that I don't like sodium, it doesn't like me. I can't eat a lot of sodium. So I'm using the low sodium, no MSG soy sauce, which really doesn't, it's expensive and it really doesn't taste like soy sauce anymore, but that's okay. Okay. I'm pretty certain my kale should not be crunching, so let me see how my kale looks. It needs to go just a little bit longer. So I've got it set on low, but I am going to add my beans. Alton Brown uses 2 cans with the, what I call the canned goo, starches into his at the end, just to warm the beans through. I already had some black beans soaking that I'm using to make veggie burgers later. I want to make Laura Vitale's veggie burgers, black bean burgers, and I used a can of Cannelli beans, and I drained them and soaked them because my potato is going to have enough starch where, Alton Brown used butternut squash for his, but sweet potato really is going to have enough starch. So I've got some drained, some rinsed 24-hour and cooked black beans, and then I've got some drained and rinsed Cannelli beans, which are going to warm through here and look really, really good in there with this. Oh, that's looking good. Okay. And then my mushrooms are going to go back in. And this is it. A really simple, wonderful recipe. You're going to put about a tablespoon, I used almost 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, and then the 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. I went low on the soy sauce, so you can use apple cider vinegar, I think anyways. It wouldn't be Alton Brown's recipe, but sometimes I mix it up. I go like half apple cider vinegar and half red wine vinegar. The reason you want a little red wine vinegar in here is to contrast the acidity of the tomatoes, and it really does bring the flavor out. You really don't need salt to this. I don't salt it, I don't pepper it. Some people do adjust it and put salt and pepper on it, but you're going to serve it with a little bit of shavings of like cheese. So I already have like a little bit of shavings that I'm going to put over my soup here. That was what I was shaving off of my heel of Regime Parmigiana. Or I have a little bit of Asiago cheese here that I used for a salad that I made. So I might serve it with that. But this is Alton Brown's One Pot Wonder without using Butternut Sqaush. And that's it. And it's way too hot to be doing this. Do this on a winter day. Don't do it on a summer day like me. Don't be stupid. And you just want to get this to where everything is together and beautiful. Look how pretty that is. It's really a pretty soup. It's a pretty soup with the mushrooms and it just really is lovely. Trust me on this, it's delicious. But you don't want to be eating your kale too. Cook it down. I never like to cook my kale with. It looks so pretty in my pan. And if you're going to freeze it, go ahead and put it in little containers. And as soon as it's done, just pop it into some little, containers. And I like to fill my containers about an inch from the top because they're bound to get, you don't want the covers to explode on you or whatever. Just let them just come to like just a little cool, snap the covers on, and freezer, and it's good. It's good. And just keep some in your refrigerator for yourself, and it's really, really good. You can put some of it over rice. You don't need rice, but you can put it over rice if you want, just some brown rice. Or honestly, I've been using white rice more because I keep reading about the arsenic that's in the brown rice, and even though I rinse my brown rice, I've put this over a little bit of farro and any kind of grain. You don't need a lot of grain because it's got beans, so it's got a lot of fiber in there with kale. Just make sure you drink a lot of water because if you're not used to a lot of fiber, you'll want your water. Exercise. Okay, take care.